Good morning, everyone. Here we are on, it's a new experience for me as well. But while I'm physically standing here in the church on Saturday morning, you will be viewing this on Sunday morning. And while today is a nice, bright, sunshiny day, tomorrow is whatever it is. But it's all still good, and it's all something to be thankful for. And with Thanksgiving coming up this Thursday, at least in the United States, there's Thanksgiving Day. A couple other countries have a similar celebration, although it's not necessarily on the same day. But it reflects maybe what we should call a common acknowledgement that we all need to take a moment and pause and reflect and be thankful and give thanks. And there are so many things to give thanks for. It may be a little bit difficult under certain times and conditions, but it is our faith that helps us to see that there is always something to give thanks for. There is adversity, there is conflict, there is all these things that really have existed, I would say, probably throughout all of man's history. But we keep going. And we keep going because that's what we do. We keep looking for ways to be better. And that can be dynamic, that can change, although there's some very, very common ideals and practices that have held up to the test of time. Doing things for others, looking for ways to serve. That is a consistency, and I've read it and I've heard it and I believe it, that when help is being given, that both the receiver and the giver experience similar biological changes. There's very simply put, there's a good feeling. The person who's receiving it absolutely is feeling better for receiving the help. They're grateful for it, thankful for it. And the giver, because it is an action that is coming from their heart, from inside, from a desire to make a difference, is also feeling very much the same thing. They're grateful to be able to help. They're thankful that they're able to do so, that there is a circumstance that comes up and presented to them that they see that they can act on it. It could be perceived as a need. It could be perceived as just something you do. I don't know if that's all that important, other than being able to identify that someone needs some assistance and being able to give that. And as has been said in so many ways, and maybe it's part of a commercial, maybe it's part of a book or a poem even, that we all, at different times in our lives, are able to help and give, and also are in need of receiving that as well. And I am very thankful and give thanks that I have the ability to help in different ways to different people. Different people need different types of help. Sometimes the best thing anyone can do is just to be a non-judgmental ear, to listen and sit with someone and just let that someone say what's on their mind. Vent, maybe. But to patiently be able to sit with that individual and let them be themselves, to feel secure, to feel safe. It's a gift. as a gift that I think everyone knows and can appreciate, because I'd be hard-pressed to believe that there's anyone that would say, oh, I've never had to do that. I've never, first of all, never's a really long time. And even if you haven't up to that point, which I would have a hard time believing, but just for sake of the point, you're still here. There's still tomorrow. There's still next hour, next minute. So you don't want to pass judgment on anything that is potentially could be helpful, or could it be something that comes to you. Thanks or thankful, that word appears like roughly around 100 times in the Bible. In different contexts, I'm sure. I'm not going to try to quote any of them right now. But it's part of just, I think, what is our human nature of doing good and being a part of a community. And that community extends everywhere. I'm thankful for all of the people that I've encountered in my life, whether they're a permanent part of it, or a passing feature of it, or maybe just someone that I had just a momentary interaction with. Because I believe that there are no mistakes. And it's even difficult to accept that anything happens just purely by happenstance. I think that there are times that you can have an interaction, or you can hear a particular word or phrase, or have a conversation, and at that particular moment, there's no significance to it. There's nothing outstanding. There's not even an aha moment at that time. But moving forward, as I do this a lot, I guess the best way to put it, I'll replay something that happened, or the words that I heard, or even the words that I said. And I don't do that with every single thing. I guess I gotta say I trust the process, and I just open that there's maybe sometimes I need to hear something again, or I need to say it again, or I just simply need to look at it from a different perspective. Whatever my perspective was in that original moment, life takes you through so many opportunities to learn and expand that maybe, no, it's not a maybe. If I have a conversation today and 2 weeks from now, I just, for whatever reason, it comes to me just to kind of go back through it again. Well, I've had 2 weeks of life. I've had 2 weeks of interactions. I've had 2 weeks of things that can change, because it's the only constant in life is change. And I'm thankful for that, because it affords you and affords everyone that opportunity to look at things a little differently. Because how we looked at it at that moment and how we look at it later on, it can be exactly the same, or it can be a world of difference. And I'm thankful for that, I'll call it a gift, that an understanding that I haven't always had, and I'm thankful that I do now, that I'm open to the possibilities. I'm open to the changes, because I know life changes, and how we look at things change. And I'm so thankful for, I guess the best way to put it, every action, every decision, whether it's conscious or not necessarily fully thought through, is that opportunity to learn something from it. I seldom refer to something as bad. It's certainly unfortunate, certainly counterproductive, certainly mean, certainly hurtful, but there's always something to be learned from that. So while the experience may not fall into the category of good, there was something to learn from that, and having that understanding of being open to that and having to remind myself of it frequently, I'm thankful for, because it allows me to see my children different. I mean, believe me, I do see my children differently now than I did 5 or 10 years ago. I see my grandchildren as they're progressing through their lives, and I find that as long as I remind myself of the right and good way to go forward, I look for ways to be, if I can be a positive, reinforcing influence, I will. If there's something they're doing that I don't agree with, unless someone's going to seriously get hurt, I find the strength to hold back for a moment and look for an opportunity to offer a different point of view, maybe. And it's not limited to my grandchildren. That's for everyone, including myself. I'll take and review what I've done. And there are many things that if I, quote, had it to do over, I would do differently. But I made those choices at that time based on where I was at. And as the constant of life, everything changes, so have I. But I'm so thankful for everyone that I have in my life, whether it's present or past, and I look forward to the ones in the future. And I thank you all for being part of my life and allowing me to give thanks amidst everything that's going on these days, knowing that better days are ahead as they always are. Thank you.